Hello everyone, this is Michael Rojas. I hope everyone is well and safe. This week's 7 annotated bibliography written by Sanders and Wilkes is titled Strategies to Scaffold Student Learning. The article is written within the perspective of nursing students, but I think it could be related to any medical profession as well. The overview concerns the main topics of this presentation, which is Vygotsky, the originator of the zone of proximal development, or ZPD, ZPD theory and its related 4 stages, scaffolding theory and its 5 teaching strategies for the classroom and clinical settings, which are molding, feedback, instructing, questioning, and cognitive structuring. VYGOTSKY'S social cultural development theory proposed social interactions led to cognitive development. In the learning environment, social and mental interactions by faculty and student encouraged cognitive development, but was felt to be internalized by the student. This was represented by students actively participating in learning via the speech, memory, and writing. Vygotsky introduced the early form of the theory zone of proximal development, or ZPD. ZPD theory involves the student learning gap challenge between learning by problem solving on their own and interactive education support from someone considered an expert, a master at their skill, otherwise known as a more knowledgeable other, or MKO. Continuing with ZPD theory in detail is learning transformation in 4 stages, all related to performances either in the classroom or in clinicals. The goal of this theory is for cognitive development to transition from, in quotation marks, others regulated to, in quotation marks, self-regulated. In other words, initially you have people telling you what to learn, and ultimately you do this self-regulated learning what you want. Stage number 2 is self-assisted, which is transition from control is passed from the MKO to self. The responsibilities of learning is self-directed, which is again the ultimate goal. In stage 3, learning is internalized and consequently reliable performances develop. In other words, I would consider this as confidence. Assistance from others is not needed and at times is considered detrimental. In the area of, if a person never reaches this stage 3, they become possibly dependent, lack of self-confidence. In stage 4, this is represented as a regression of development. Occurs when the previously learned ideas no longer are automatic, or they call this, in quotation marks, de-optimization. This occurs after stress, trauma, major life events, causing the learner to return to earlier ZPD stages. The second theory is scaffolding theory and its related strategies. The process of incorporating different teaching modalities as the student transitions from other assistance to self-assistance to ultimately unassisted internalized learning. Under scaffolding, there are various strategies used by educators, which are molding, feedback, instructing, questioning, and cognitive structuring. We will go over each with a small sample to explain their teaching techniques. Modeling involves being a good role model for students by verbal and nonverbal behaviors that students can imitate. Also, what is found to be considered a, in quotation marks, a good clinical teacher has been described as a good role model and encouraging a climate of mutual respect. In regards to feedback, it is found that students transition from other assistants to self-assistance. Feedback is most effective when the work is compared to a standard rather than comparing student to student. Second, the feedback needs to be beyond verbal and written responses. By example is very beneficial. And third, positive feedback should be balanced with need improvement comments, which has been found to be beneficial other than just simply being positive. With instructing, some learners do have some benefit from learning with instructing. The voice of the lecture or while demonstrating seems to be helpful. Students may benefit from recalling the educator's voice when having to apply the information in the future. In regards to questioning in ZPD and scaffolding fall into two categories: those that assess and those that assist. These questions may be closed-ended, open-ended, convergent, and divergent styles. The test questions also offer a scaffolding opportunity, strategies to individualize student learning based on wrong answers may be an untapped assist performance strategy. So by reviewing what they wrote as wrong answers, will to kind of tell you where they're at and where to focus your lectures, or where this individual needs to work on more of their knowledge. Cognitive structuring is one of the most difficult for faculty to assist in a student's performance. It is how a student organizes their information in memory for future thinking and action. It is recommended for the concept mapping, and tutoring may be helpful for teachers to discern a student's knowledge or weakness. The next two slides are for you to have, and you can have a copy of these if you like. It describes the different strategies in the classroom or clinical settings in more detail for your reference later. In conclusion, in stage 1, other assistance, and stage 2, self-assistance of the ZPD, the role of the teacher is construct, refrain, and eventually remove scaffolds to support the learner in educational process. Partnering with a learner in the educational process, teachers can optimize the learner's growth, development, and socialization in their health profession. Zone of proximal development, or ZPD, and scaffolding modalities, which we spoke of: modeling, feedback, questioning, instructing, and cognitive structuring, supports learners to increase independence and learning and practice. Here are my references. I hope you have a good evening or day. Thank you very much.